My uncle, 53, is a complete idiot and rude. He positively delights in being as offensive as possible. My grandmother says it's from a brain injury when he was young. I've never seen any proof of this. My dad, 50, has put up with this his whole life. When I asked him about it, he said that's how his brother is and has always been. My mom basically banned him from our house when I was growing up, so I only saw him at family events, at weddings, where he would say the groom looked like an idiot or that the bride looked pregnant, Thanksgiving, where he would tell offensive jokes at the table, or a birthday party where he said the food tasted like crap. I, male 27, recently bought a house with my girlfriend, 23. It's small and needs work, but we can afford it with a lot of help from our families and the bank. We had a housewarming party this weekend and had a barbecue. It was the first time we could host a big group, as I only had a bachelor's apartment and my girlfriend lived with her dad. My dad invited my uncle, but I did not. My uncle shows up and starts being himself. He starts calling my home a dive and asks my girlfriend why she's with a loser like me. I ask him to come out in the front yard to talk for a second, and I read him the riot act. I don't give a crap that other people have coddled him his whole life. If he cannot be civil, then he's welcome to get the heck out. I was not quiet. I'm pretty sure everyone in my backyard could hear me telling him to behave like a civilized adult. He left but spent the rest of the day texting everyone there, including his mom and my grandmother, and saying that it's not his fault that I overreacted to his behavior. It put a damper on the party. His family's on his side, but my mom's family and my friends are backing me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It's your home, and he disrespected you in it. Also, your dad was out of line for inviting your uncle without consulting you first. He's definitely the idiot for inviting him without telling you, and so is your dad's family for expecting you to put up with him in your home. He's their responsibility, not yours. Yeah, especially when his own wife banned the brother from their home. The presumption of OP's father to invite the nasty uncle to a house that's not his. I've seen many stories of people enabling bullies, but attacking people when they stick up for themselves. OP, you need to tell your dad that he won't be welcome in your house if he brings the idiot uncle. In fact, that goes for all your family. That nasty uncle is never to set foot in your place. Who cares if your family complains? Let them deal with the idiot uncle, and you can live free of his vitriol. This uncle is a clown that has been trained to put on a show for his family. They love watching him do this crap. That's why they keep inviting him and taking his side. He's putting on a show, and his brother and family are in the audience. Like in school, the kids would aggravate the kid with profound mental health issues just to watch him explode. If they were really bothered by it, they could have established a large family-wide network to help deflect him and curb his tendencies to spare his targets. That is, if the brain damage is the actual problem here. I'm not sure. My husband had a brain injury from work a decade ago. He worked hard to get his anger under control and not be a huge idiot. It took a long time and a lot of work, but he did it. He also had other things as a result of the injury, both physical and neurological, to deal with. There's no way that uncle is a perfectly functioning adult in every other way, and the brain injury only affects him so he can't be an idiot. Congratulations on your husband and family for persevering with the work. OP, your uncle is an absolute piece of trash, and your dad's families are enablers. Funny how many idiots think, I have a mental health condition, translates to, you must accommodate any of my behavior, no matter how toxic. A mental health condition means I'll be a little more open to someone rebuilding bridges after they burn them. It doesn't mean I'll sit on the bridge while it burns. I, male 42, have 3 kids. A son, Isaac, tween, with my ex, who's no longer in the picture, and twin stepdaughters from my wife's previous relationship, Emma and Ava, pre-tween. Isaac's birthday is next week, and he said he wants to go to the movies and asked if he could bring 2 friends along. Of course I agreed, and we planned a day of fun. arcade, pizza, and a movie. These were all activities I knew my son and his friends, nerdy middle school boys, would enjoy. When I told my wife about our plans, she suggested having a family outing instead. She proposed a local kiddie play place that my stepdaughters apparently love. I said that Isaac and his friends would be very disappointed and that he wouldn't have fun at the kiddie play place. She tried to convince me that Isaac could still have fun because there was an arcade, 2 claw machines, a pinball table, and a small DDR machine. She also said that since he sees his friends at school daily, family time should be prioritized over friends. I told her forcing Isaac to spend his birthday at a kiddie play place instead of with his friends was unfair. She accused me of favoritism and of not loving my stepdaughters as much as Isaac. This hit me pretty hard because I grew up with a stepfather who neglected me in favor of his own kids, and I've been trying my hardest to be the father figure I never had. As a result, I've been spiraling down a rabbit hole of doubt about my own choices, and for the sake of my own sanity, am I the idiot? OP, please read what you wrote. Your wife is so manipulative. She's gaslighting the heck out of you, and I'm betting it's not the first time. Nip that manipulative BS in the bud right now. And if I were you, I would pay more attention to her attitude towards your son after this. She accused me of favoritism and not loving my stepdaughters as much as Isaac. OP needs to turn this logic around to expose the hypocrisy of his wife. Why are you letting the non-birthday children dictate where the birthday child gets to have his party? If this will be the new standard for the children going forward, then I hope you enjoy having Isaac decide where Emma and Ava will be celebrating their birthdays. She's protecting her interest to ensure that her daughters get the maximum resources possible at the expense of everyone else. Just another selfish stepmother that OP should pay attention to when dealing with his son. What else is she prioritizing her daughters over regarding his son? This dude is likely oblivious to what's happening in his house and in denial about the woman he married and the daughter she's raising. This is so true. He makes 50% more than her. He's her resource provider and replacement for the father of her kids. This woman doesn't give a rat's patootie about OP's son. She would certainly rather the kid not be there. But you know, she's only been around less than half of the kiddo's life. OP has done his son dirty by marrying this woman. Honestly, there's nothing to update on. My wife has given up trying to convince me, but is not happy. My son, on the other hand, is super excited for his party. I'm preparing to ask him how things are when I'm not around, and I've been looking into therapists and child psychologists in the area. She insisted that my son should be happy to spend time with family. She called him selfish, not to his face, but to me, for wanting to go off with his friends instead of spending time with his stepsisters. It's obviously illogical, but she won't get over it. I, 30 female, met my fiancé, Ella, 30 female, in September 2018. We got engaged in January and have been planning our wedding for 2024. We plan to get married on our 6-year anniversary. It's a date that all the most important people in our life have available, and it also just means so much to us. My brother Mark, 25, has been dating his girlfriend, Iris, 24, since September. They've moved pretty quickly, moving in together already, and seriously discussing the future. I don't think there's anything wrong with this, just again setting the stage here a bit. When I mentioned to Iris my wedding date, she got a little weirded out and said, "That's our 2-year anniversary." I pointed out that their anniversary is 2 weeks prior to mine and Ella's. She acted like she was fine with it. As we're still far out, not much planning has been done outside of booking the venue. However, I have subscribed to a few bridal magazines just to get ideas. Ella and I are big dream board people, so it's fun for us to try to figure out exactly what we want. Mark and Iris came over on Sunday. She spotted the magazines and began flipping through one. Iris kept making comments saying, "I don't know if we'll be in town that week," meaning my wedding. Mark said that they would be. Iris asked, "Don't you want to do something special for our anniversary?" Again, we all pointed out that their anniversary is 2 weeks before mine and Ella's. So unless they plan some luxury vacation, they're going to be back in time. Iris then turned to me and said, "If Mark proposes to me within the next year, we'll be getting married on our anniversary. It'll be hard for the families to come up for 2 weddings in 1 month." Mark and I attended the same university and a good amount of distance away from our hometown. Most of our family still lives there, and they all plan to come to my wedding. Honestly, I didn't really feel threatened by this, which I know is what Iris wanted. I simply smiled and said, "If you're still together, then we'll see how this pans out." Iris sat up straight and asked, "What is that supposed to mean?" I said, "Honey, you've been together 7 months. I'm not saying you can't know he's the one, but I won't change the date for someone who may not even be around next year." Iris got very quiet and didn't speak for half an hour. The conversation shifted to something else. Eventually, she got up and said she was going outside to smoke. Mark got a text not long after and went outside. Ella and I could hear arguing. Mark came back in and said that Iris was leaving. I understood why. Iris, however, has texted me several times, saying I'm invalidating her and Mark's relationship. Mark has said, while he understands my point, I didn't have to say that. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. And wow, not even dating for a year, and she's trying to claim your wedding date? That's bizarre behavior. But you know what? You were completely justified in putting her in her place. Given Mark's lack of reaction, you're probably right too. Sounds like Iris might not be the one. I can't believe she dared to try and claim a date as her own when LP and their fiancé have been together longer, actually engaged, and planning their wedding. Everyone already knows the date, plans on attending, and in that family, it's their anniversary first. Girlfriend is so delusional, it's funny. Iris seems like one of those people who always wants everything to be about them. She was fishing for a fight by saying everything about her anniversary when they hadn't even been together for a year. You responded in kind. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. If she continued to behave this way, I'd uninvite her from the wedding. No need to have someone who's just trying their best to steal the spotlight. I would not be surprised if she got your brother to propose to her, either on the day of the wedding or before the wedding, and then announce the engagement at your wedding. Be careful, OP. My ex-girlfriend, Claire, 35, got pregnant while we were dating. Although she told me she wanted to be friends, I was ready to be a father. However, she met someone else, Becca, who didn't want me around. So they asked me to cancel my paternal rights. At the time, I was torn because I wanted to be there for my child, but I also felt that if they didn't want me around, it was best to waive my rights. After fighting for a while, I eventually gave up because it was clear that they didn't want me there. Fast forward 13 years later, Claire and Becca are going through some stuff and they want me to pay child support. However, the court had already ruled that since I waived my paternal rights, I was not legally obliged to pay child support. Despite this, Claire's calling me an idiot and a deadbeat, and she's even calling my family and getting them involved. While I understand her frustration, I don't think it's appropriate for her to involve my family in this matter. So am I the idiot for not paying any child support? I told her I wasn't giving her a dime. Not the idiot. They didn't want you to be a dad, so you aren't a dad. They're only regretting their decision now because they need money. If you consider helping out financially, you must insist that you also be allowed to have a relationship with your kid with no secrets about why you haven't been around. The kid deserves to know that the only reason you weren't around is because of their moms. No doubt they've poisoned the poor kid's mind about why their father left. So at this point, it's risky even to consider having a relationship with this child. The child would be a teen now, and teens especially can be cruel and heartless, if they think you wronged them. It's best and least harmful to all involved to let things remain the way they are. And when the child is older and has a more mature outlook, let the child seek out the father. However, if you do still want a relationship with your child, put forth this offer. Ask for split custody and parental rights instead. No child support. If there's split custody, then your ex only has to house and feed him 50% of the time, which relieves a significant economic burden. They'll obviously say no, because it's never about relieving their financial burden. They just want an easy way to your money. At this point, cut them out and rebut anyone who complained. I made them an offer. They refused. That's the end of my cares. Though also, keep in mind, you owe them nothing. It's about wanting the child to build a relationship with you and know the truth. My neighbors started out in February-March with a bouncy castle in their yard. I could not see it, but I could certainly hear it when the kids would start bouncing at 4:30 and 5 a.m. It seemed that the kids would wake up really early and the parents would send them outside to sleep, but it was incredibly loud. I had a polite conversation with the parents, and they assured me that the bouncy castle was temporary. So I put up with it for probably 3 weeks, nearly every day, until I explained that I worked nights and I was being woken up right as I was getting to sleep. To their credit, they stopped jumping early in the morning, and everything was fine until 3 weeks ago, when a huge bouncy castle suddenly appeared in their backyard. It was at least 25 feet tall. It completely blocked my view of the mountains. I could see the kids look right into my bedroom window from the top. Unfortunately, this coincided with a shift change for me. Now the kids were up until 11 and 12, even 1 a.m. on some nights. Now I had to wake up at 4:30. I didn't even realize it was also a water slide until I realized that probably hundreds of gallons of water had run under our shared fence and actually pushed all my dog's poop against the back door. I talked to them, and the dad said, "We were polite enough to change our schedule for you the first time, and this is our backyard, so screw you." I decided something had to be done because my house, let alone the sleep issue, could be damaged. So I called the HOA, and however the machine works, my neighbors have been called in front of a board meeting, fined about $1,000 for covenant violations in order to pay for damages to our joint fence. I thought everything was good, except for some dirty looks from the neighbor. Still, literally every one of my family and friends is saying I'm an idiot for going to the HOA. While opinions vary, the general gist is that now I'm the crabby neighbor ruining the kids' fun, that I should have just gotten some noise-canceling headphones and ignored it, and they would have popped the slide at some point anyways, and it would have taken care of itself. I guess the idea is that I tattled and got my way by unleashing a bunch of busybodies with too much time and undeserved power. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I don't typically side with snitches, but this is pretty clear. The early hour noise and the property damage are big no-nos. Also, it damaged the fence and possibly the garden. It violated your privacy since the kids were looking into your bedroom. The consistent noise daily for long periods at weird hours, all valid complaints. You spoke to them, and they basically said, it's your problem. So then you told HOA. You followed a very decent, orderly channel. You aren't snitching when it's a 25-foot bouncy castle. They aren't hiding it. Is the massive water runoff from an improperly managed water slide? For weeks? The drainage is an enormous issue and directly damages your property. Nope, their disrespect for your property and neighborhood decorum makes them the idiots here. There's nothing reasonable about the kids' fun in this instance, and people have a right to reasonable, quiet, and safe enjoyment of their own property. Going to the HOA is the bare minimum here. This is actually proper use of the HOA. These neighbors were putting your quality of life and possibly the quality of your property into jeopardy. I'm honestly really worried for the kids. These are very irregular and ungodly early, late hours for them to be outside, seemingly unattended with water? That high up? The parents honestly sound negligent and decided to make them the neighborhood's problem rather than actually parent their kids. Makes me wonder if CPS should be next on your list of calls.